Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Sometimes people do not truly understand what they are feeling until they try to write it down. A vague sadness becomes clearer. Anxiety becomes more understandable. Pain becomes something visible. And strangely, the moment emotions become language, they often become easier to carry. Some thoughts remain heavy until they are expressed. In modern life, many people are constantly distracted, scrolling, consuming, reacting, moving from one stimulation to another. But very few people actually sit with themselves long enough to understand what is happening inside them. This may be one reason writing can feel strangely healing. Not because writing magically removes pain, but because it creates something modern life rarely gives people anymore: a quiet space to encounter themselves honestly. Many emotions remain difficult to understand while they stay trapped inside the mind. Thoughts move too quickly, feelings overlap, memories blur together. A person may say, "I feel overwhelmed," but underneath that single sentence, there may actually be grief, fear, shame, loneliness, exhaustion, disappointment, all tangled together. This is something explored deeply by Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Jung believed much of human experience remains unconscious, meaning people are often influenced by emotions, patterns, and inner conflicts they do not fully recognize yet. And sometimes, writing becomes a way of making the unconscious slightly more visible. Writing does not only express thoughts, sometimes it reveals them. Psychologist James Pennebaker spent decades researching what happens when people write honestly about emotional experiences. His studies on expressive writing found that people who wrote openly about painful emotions often experienced improvements in emotional processing, stress levels, psychological well-being. But perhaps the most interesting insight was not simply that writing helped people feel better. It was that writing helped people understand their experiences differently. Because emotions can feel overwhelming when they exist only internally. Inside the mind, everything feels immediate, chaotic, and emotionally tangled. But once thoughts become words on a page, something changes. People can finally observe what they feel, reflect on it, organize it, understand it more clearly. Writing creates distance between the self and the emotion. And sometimes, that distance is what allows healing to begin. Many people suppress emotions without realizing it, not because they are dishonest, but because modern life rarely encourages deep emotional reflection. People learn to stay busy, stay distracted, stay functional, even when something inside them remains unresolved. English pediatrician and psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott wrote extensively about the importance of authentic self-expression. He believed many people adapt so much to external expectations that they slowly lose contact with parts of their real inner experience. And perhaps this is why writing can feel so personal, because writing, especially private writing, often removes performance. There is no audience, no image to maintain, no need to appear impressive. Only a person trying to speak honestly to themselves. Some people spend years avoiding emotions they can finally admit in writing. Human beings do not experience life through events alone. We experience life through the meaning we give those events. This is why painful experiences often become psychologically heavier when they remain. Confusing, fragmented, unspoken. A person may carry grief for years without fully understanding what they lost, why it hurt so deeply, what part of themselves changed afterward. But writing slows thought down. It forces people to remain with an experience long enough to finally examine it. A memory becomes clearer. An emotion becomes more specific. A hidden fear becomes recognizable. Sometimes healing begins the moment experience becomes understandable. Many people describe a strange sense of relief after writing honestly, even if nothing in their external life changes immediately. This may happen because unexpressed emotions require energy to suppress. Thoughts repeat endlessly in the background, feelings remain unresolved, inner tension accumulates silently. But writing externalizes experience. The mind no longer has to hold everything internally, and for a brief moment, the person no longer feels completely trapped inside their own thoughts. What is expressed often becomes easier to carry. Perhaps the deepest value of writing is not productivity, not self-improvement, not even emotional release alone. Perhaps writing matters because it helps people reconnect with themselves. In a world of constant stimulation, people rarely stop long enough to hear their own inner voice clearly. Writing interrupts that noise. For a moment, attention turns inward. And sometimes, people discover emotions, desires, or fears they did not realize they were carrying. This is why writing can feel intimate in a way few modern experiences do, because it creates a private space where the self becomes visible to itself. But it is important to understand something. Writing does not erase pain. It does not magically heal trauma. It does not solve every emotional struggle. Some wounds still require time, relationships, support, therapy, life experience. But writing can do something deeply human. It can help people stop running from their own inner experience. Healing often begins when people finally allow themselves to feel honestly. Maybe this is why writing has existed throughout almost all of human history. Not only to record information, but to understand suffering, to search for meaning, to make inner experience visible. Because sometimes the mind remains fragmented until emotions finally become language. And sometimes the simple act of writing honestly is the first moment a person truly hears themselves clearly. Some thoughts do not disappear when ignored. They wait quietly until they are finally expressed.